This is a test. 1, 2, 3, 4. Do we have sound to the internet? Yes? A little bit. You sure? What about if I just put this here? What about that? 1, 2, 3, 4. Still low. How about that? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yay. Okay. So, good morning, dear friends. I'm tired. We had a party, a fundraiser party at my home last night, and it was a great time. What a nice thing. What a collection of amazing human beings gather in this community. Whew. So I'm going to ask you to stay inward if you wish, but if it would be okay to turn to your neighbor, to greet them, share your name, and one thing you really like about yourself. And I know it may be hard. It doesn't have to be a what do you call it, Nobel Prize level thing, but what's one thing you like about yourself or your life? Please, have at it. I like that, I like you.
I like you too. And I'm really happy to be a grandfather with
Oh, I forgot one piece of my request. Would you all move this way, please? Move into the demilitarized zone here. That's better. I think my cold is past contagion. Hi to those of you joining us on the internet. I take refuge in the Buddha, the one who shows me the way in this life. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Buddhaya. I take refuge in the Dharma, the way of understanding and love. Namo Dharmaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Dharmaya. I take refuge in the Sangha, the community of mindful harmony. Namo Sanghaya, Namo Sanghaya, Namo Sanghaya. Once more for fun. I take refuge in the Buddha, the one who shows me the way in this life. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Buddhaya. I take refuge in the Dharma, the way of understanding and love. Namo Dharmaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Dharmaya. I take refuge in the Sangha, the community of mindful harmony. Namo Sanghaya, Namo Sanghaya, Namo Sanghaya. What a treat to get to do nothing for the next 35 minutes or so. We don't even have to improve ourselves. Imagine that. So, as we humans have done now for thousands of years, let's just park. Taking a comfortably upright posture. Noticing where your body touches the floor or the chair. Everywhere you direct awareness in this body, you will find life. And that life is in the form that we would describe in words as tingling, vibrating, pressure, warm, cold. One of the practices that develops over time is that of abiding in the body, of kind of hanging out in the body. So when you stop at a stoplight, you might just be in the life of your body. And of course, there aren't right or wrong sensations in the body. There are just sensations. And among its myriad activities, one of the things the body does most efficiently is breathing. And so we can use that breathing in and breathing out as a home base. A place to come back to. Life is pretty distracting. We can become caught up in the trances of the past and future really easily. But mindfulness can wake up to them and notice, oh, here's the mind wandering. And then come back to now. Come back to this present moment with the breath. Meditation does take a certain effort, but it's not an effort that requires any tensing. It is an effort of intention rather than tension. This is what I intend to do. When I can, I intend to be with the breath. When I can, I intend to be awake and mindful of whatever is happening. this life is characterized by beginnings and endings, birth and death, starting, pursuing, finishing. Relationships have a certain arc. They begin, they last a certain length of time, and then they end. Thoughts begin and end. Emotions begin and end. The breath begins and ends. Civilizations begin and end. Empires begin and end. And we can practice mindfulness of breathing with this hypothesis gently in mind. Is this breath permanent? These bodies of ours come into being really out of nowhere. No thingness. They somehow come along with consciousness and with that mysterious, inexplicable capacity of awareness. And notice how awareness can receive and observe and know that it's doing that with every thought, every wandering mind, every mood, every sensation. As we sit, we create the conditions for the appearance of this capacity of knowing. Whenever the mind wanders off into one of its various trance states, it creates an opportunity for awareness to mysteriously appear, to notice that. So you don't have to start a war with the wandering mind or go to battle with it. Just notice how awareness illuminates the wandering mind, and then come back to your body, sitting here and breathing. You could take note. Is this a moment when the mind is calm and quiet, resting? Or a moment of agitation or worry? planning. Or it could be a moment when the mind is wanting something. Desire. Or the opposite of desire, of disliking, aversion, of hatred. It could be a moment in which awareness is lighting up the mind with extraordinary clarity. Or a moment of dull fatigue, sloth and torpor. It could be a mind of great faith. It's like, yes, I'm so glad to do this. I know why I'm doing this. And what a relief. Or a mind of doubt or despair. What's the point? It's one of the places the mind can go when faced with certain political or news circumstances. What's the point? Hopeless. Seeing these all for what they are, which is mental states, mental phenomena. What if none of them are personal? So we take refuge in that which is awake, which is the Buddha. We take refuge in things as they are, which is the Dharma. And we do that in good company. Our friends. Becoming more and more intimate with the body and with breathing. Coming home to yourself. as we come to really understand and embody meditation, there is no beginning or end of meditation. There is a period of sitting and practicing, and then there's a period of transitioning to, in our case, Qigong, and then but in other times it's from here to the shower, or from here to the kitchen, from the kitchen to the car, to driving, to whatever it is that we do next, from entertainment to work. Because to meditate is simply to be aware of what's happening. In a way, it's the simplest possible thing. So we've sat for a while now. The body may be getting stiff or painful. Please, over the course of the next minute or so, maybe 2 minutes, notice what it takes to let your eyes open and then maybe stretch a little bit. But don't abandon your presence here with the body and the mind. Stay awake. Please notice the quality of mind, the stress level, the discomfort that's present now. We really don't have to believe on somebody else's say-so, how this changes life. Hello to those of you joining us out on the internet. Hello, Robert. So, Jim will now take the lead and do some mindful movement.
So those who wish can stand, and we'll open up the shoulders a little bit. Well, actually, we'll start with the elbows. So let's open the hands, and then bend the elbows, and then turn the wrists and push. Then turn the fingers in, feel the tendons and the ligaments stretch from the shoulders to the tips of the fingers. Lift up, stretch up, and then press out to the side. And feel the completion. You stretch and then relax. Open the hands to the front, lift, breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out. Again. And once more. Well, that was very peaceful. Now as we start to move a little more, we may want to open some windows. It'll heat up in here quick as soon as we get some chi moving. We're going to engage the legs first. We'll sink and rise and just feel the bounciness in the knees and the ankles. We can surrender to gravity and get closer to the earth. We can resist the earth a little bit by straightening up a little bit. We don't want to lock any of our joints, but we come up almost to straight up and then sink into the round knees and then lift the arms and sink again. So the tendons and muscles get these round, soft movements going as a relief from all of our sitting stillness. And then we'll breathe in and open some more and breathe in and out. Long breath in. And one more big, deep one. And then just breathe as you need to, reaching up, painting a rainbow. Reach up and separate clouds and sink. Crossing the wrists, we come up the center so we can separate the clouds. Open to the side, palms up. Then the back hand faces forward, turns up, the back hand faces forward. And then opening the shoulders as much as is comfortable. Reach across, feel the weight shift. And listen to the floorboards. Or maybe it's your joints, I don't know. Turn and gaze at the moon. Pressing across into the corner. Releasing one arm and stretching with the other. Now we reach across, focus on the palm of your hand and let the other palm face the earth and come across the center line, over to the other side and switch positions. One thumb is pointing up, the other palm is pointing down. We're connecting heaven and earth. Clouds moving across the sky, the upper hand representing that shifting cloud. But then there's a shadow on the earth. The clouds don't abandon the earth. They stay in connection. So we serve as this bridge, an energetic bridge between the earth energy and the sky energy. Then we'll step out and splash in the sea. Imagining all the spray going all over. Different images in the mind create different moods. Splashing in the water and rocking back, all the weight forward, and then all the weight back, riding the waves. The mood shifts. Floorboards join us again with lots of melodies. Open the arms, turn the wrists, face down and then face up with the palms. Stretching the tendons, opening from the shoulders down to the fingertips. And then back to the center. We'll step out to the other side and splash. Riding the waves. Opening the arms, palms up, and turning. And back to the center. Feeling the balance, feeling the stillness, feeling the expanded rib cage as we breathe. We'll sink and make a fist and let the dragon rise from the sea, feeling that sense of agency, intending, carrying out, relaxing. Then spreading our wings for a flight with the herons. Up on the toes. Again, feeling that intention and resting down. Turning the wheel. Changing direction. And back to the center. Pausing to feel the balance, soft knees, shoulders back, chin level. Lift one arm or one leg, like we're bouncing a ball. And the boards have a little different song for this one. Okay, and the final one is just gathering everything together, drawing energy up from the earth, releasing what we don't need back to the earth, share and share alike. Living, breathing, energy, releasing back. Surrendering to gravity, letting earth take our spent energy and put it to use someplace else. Again. And then coming to simple standing, feeling the effects of all this movement, acknowledging yourself for giving all these joints a little tender care. And then next Saturday, we're going to be here for a longer retreat from 9 till 4 with a break for lunch. And we'll be just sitting most of the day. We'll have a Dharma talk or two and intermittent movement with the Qigong. So it'll be a stillness and movement rhythm for Saturday from 9 till 4. You're welcome to join us. So thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
There you go, sir.
Good morning, Sangha. Whoa, that's loud. Is that too loud? So how about like that? Is that good? That better? Yeah. Okay. Hi. My name is Avi. I'm community coordinator here. I have some announcements. But before I get into that, I had a rather extraordinary experience last night. I'm part of an improv group called Portland Playback Theater. And last night, we led a community in honoring a young man who had died. It's for the Waldorf School. And this young man had been a part of this school, and he died 3 years ago when he was 24 in a mountaineering accident up in Alaska. And we did this special show for the community to honor this young man because they had created a garden in his honor. And as I interviewed people on stage about their memories of this young man, whose name was Dasan, I realize now that, in a way, that ceremony could have been for me. And it could have been for all of us. And all of the things that people said, the funny little stories, the ways that people blinked back tears when they recalled something touching about their interaction with this young man, that could be for any one of us when friends and family gather and they recall us. And it just made me realize we're all precious. It was just a really heartfelt way of remembering that each one of us is a gift to all of the people around us. And that when we connect with one another and when we touch one another, we leave behind memories that help people and that give people something that adds to their lives. I just wanted to share that with you. Announcements. Things coming up. On Saturday, July 7th, as Jim was saying, we're going to have the first of our new monthly PIMC day-long retreats. We will be having these on the first Saturday of every month, and there'll be rotating teachers that will be leading it. Details have been released, and there'll be more on the website soon. On July 8th through 20th, there's the Mountain Waters Retreat with Robert. Spaces are still available. Details are on the website. On Sunday, July 8th, we're going to be having our second Sunday PIMC potluck. Feel free to unleash your secret family casseroles on other members of the Sangha, and please bring those. On Wednesday, July 11th, we'll be having our new, we have our a new monthly installment of our new nonviolent communication practice group with Doyle and Kirsten here, the second Wednesday of every month. It is limited to people who have had some study of nonviolent communication. On Saturday, July 21st, Jim is doing one of his half-day Qigong retreats here at PIMC from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Details are on the website. If you like what we were doing just now, you'll love 4 hours of it even more. It's not a solid 4 hours, but there's a lot of variety, and it's very healthy. On July 27th through 29th or August 11th, Robert is going to be doing a Brighton-Bush retreat. Details are on the website. Contact Brighton-Bush to find out how many spaces are available. On Sunday, August 5th, we will have our monthly PIMC mindfulness orientation with Robert. We just had one this morning. For those of you with children, for the entire month of August, we are not going to be having our children's program. Our teacher, Eric, has to be elsewhere for some of those days, and so we are just, and a lot of times people are traveling. So for the month of August, no children's program, so make plans for that. And then beginning August 22nd through November 11th, August 22nd through November 7th, we're going to be having one of our periodic Skillful speech classes, which teaches nonviolent communication with Doyle and Kirsten. That's going to be Wednesday evenings from 7 to 9. Details are coming soon, so you can plan for it. And then just some other odds and ends. After the Dharma talk, please join us for hospitality down in the living room. Have some tea, have some cookies and some other nasharai, and get to know your Sangha members. This is a wonderful opportunity for all of you to get to know one another. You are all wonderful people, and amazing things happen when people just chat and they learn things about one another. Things that you find that you might be looking for or that you need somehow come out of the mouth of somebody that you've just met, and you find somehow that there is some resource that you were looking for and it's right there in front of you. Happens all the time, so please join us. We have our Dana bowl in the back. We also have an iPad in case all you have is credit cards. Feel free to use that. As most of you probably know, we reached our $44,000 scholarship fundraiser for the ramp. The ramp is going in, but there is a secondary goal, and Robert, I'm sure we'll be talking more about that. We need another $14,000 to tie down the building in the event of an earthquake, and fundraising is continuing for that. So please consider contributing for that. Let's see. We need a volunteer to coordinate gardening and landscape care for us. If any of you are feeling called to do that, please contact me or Kirsten. I don't think Kirsten is here today, but please contact me and I'll put you in touch with her. If you wish to engage with this community at a deeper level, you can volunteer. That's another way that you can support the community in addition to doing practice and giving us your money. There's lots of ways in which this place can use your service, but even more than that, that is yet another way in which you all can get to know one another. It is a structure within which you can get to be more deeply embedded in this community and really feel the support and the refuge of the Sangha. So please, if you feel called to volunteer in whatever capacity, we can find some way in which you can be of service here, please see me afterwards. And then let's see. If you may not know, that there are 5 or 6 other sits that we do during the week. This is the big kahuna of the sits, the mothership. This is like the biggest one, but we also have sits that range anywhere from 3 or 4 people to 20 people. So if a smaller, more intimate sit is something that you prefer, look on the website, and we've got these every week. We also have KM groups, Kalyana Mita groups, or spiritual friends groups, which allow you in your own homes to talk about the Dharma, to sit with people that you know on your own schedule. If you want to join a spiritual friends group, there's information on the website under community. If you want to start your own group, please see me and I can help you get that started. And then let's see, we have our transitions project over here. Anything that you don't need, please bring it in, and we get it to the transitions project, which helps homeless people get back on track with their lives. And 2 final things, we make Dharma consults available. If you are having an issue that's come up with your practice and you would like to talk with a teacher about it, we offer 30-minute consultations. They are very flexible. They can be in person, they can be by phone, or over video conference, whatever works best for you. And come and see me, and I can arrange for one of the members of our Teachers Council to connect with you, and we can make that happen. And then finally, for all of you, and for all of you up in the web, I am here Monday through Thursday, and my job here, in addition to keeping the lights turned on, is to help you get from this community what you want to get from it. So if you have questions about resources, or if you have something to offer, or if you have a question, by all means, please call me, or come and visit, or email me, and I'd be happy to help you. Have a blessed, wonderful day. Thank you very much.
Nice. As we sit here, the magical display in consciousness goes on. We can experience a body. The body's incredibly sensitive. It's sensitive to sound in a particular way, and it hears this voice, it hears sounds from outside that memory turns into cars or a crow or a dog. In this mysterious consciousness, the past arises, memories, the future, plans, emotions arise. One could say that our lives are actually completely phenomena arising in this consciousness. Almost 40 years ago, I was in India with my teacher named Munindra, Anagarika Munindra. And we were up on top of the meditation center, 50 feet high maybe, and surrounding it, it was in Bodh Gaya, India. Surrounding it, it's kind of flat. And from a couple of directions, maybe three, there were different music streams coming from weddings or parties of some kind. And he asked me a question that stuck with me all these years. When you listen to that music, when you hear that music, is it outside over there, or is it inside you? It's a very interesting experience, and I've had increasingly moments when it's clear that everything's inside, everything. I have beside me here this Tibetan tanka, Thangka, there's pronounced. It's the audio-visual component of Tibetan Buddhism. They roll up because you can store them that way, but also they could be taken on horseback out for the teaching. So it's a slide projectorless AV system. It's called the Wheel of Birth and Death, and it's the oldest psychological diagram on the planet, the oldest known psychological model. And I'm going to speak about it, not in great depth because it would take a lot, but I want to use it as the foundation for what I want to say today. So I'll do that. I'll do it that way. Oh, hang on. What fun. I have a laser pointer. Yeah, it works. How do you like that? So I'll invite you to come up and take a look at it afterwards, and please don't touch it. Skin oil is bad for it. This colorful figure, Yama, the Lord of Death. Yama is on a tiger skin, which symbolizes he's heavy duty. He's the big kahuna. He has in his hair smiling skulls, which represent, don't worry, everything's really okay. And then in the center, there's a snake, a rooster, and a pig, which represent greed, hatred, and ignorance, which are what drive the whole birth and death phenomenon. Surrounding that, the next layer out, there are human beings being pulled down by a demon sort of figure down into the hell realms. And there are beings finding their way up to the Buddha, which is the movement toward liberation. In my career, I've been blessed with working mostly in this realm, though I have met a few people in my 40 years of counseling and Dharma teaching whose lives fell apart and who got worse and worse and worse, and who disappeared into addiction or disappeared into prison or into a serious loss of integrity in their lives. But mostly, I've been with people going in this direction, which is such a blessing, right? Whew. So this is a model. It's a cosmological model as well, in which there's the heaven realms, which is those in power, or us when we're in power, and we think, yep, I've really got it together, I am successful, I'm going to stay here, I finally achieved it, yep, I'm here. And then there's those who are in the realm of the jealous gods, and they're always trying to tear down the others, the ones who are up here. And that's the part of us that's jealous. One could make a silly commentary that those in power are always being opposed by those not in power, which happens in politics as well. This is the realm of the animal realm, and it's the realm of instincts, where what drives us is our instinctual desires. And this is the hell realm, which has colorful figures impaled on things and rivers of blood, and it's Dante's hell. And you all know what that is. It's when life is unbearable, right? When everything's fallen apart in some horrible way. This is a colorful realm. There's a representation of it here, which is a person with a large mouth, a tiny neck, and a large belly, a distended belly. It's the realm of the hungry ghosts. It's the realm of the mall, it's the realm of modern advertising, and if I could just stuff enough in, then I'd be happy, but I can't get enough in because my throat's too small. And so I'm always wanting. Who was it? Augustine, St. Augustine, who wasn't the nicest person, but one thing he said that was really brilliant was that pornography is any representation of something that makes you want it. Advertising is all pornography, right? Or mostly. So that's the realm of the hungry ghosts. We know that one. And this is the human realm, where life is happening and we're getting born and dying and so on. And the Tibetans would say that these are actual places, locations. It makes much more sense to me, and is very helpful to me, thinking of them as psychological states, and that we can inhabit one and then another and then another. But that's not where I want to stop, or where I don't want to linger there. This is known as the 12 steps of dependent origination. And the Buddha said that when it was on the night of his awakening, he understood the 12 steps of dependent origination. And that's what set him free. So the pictures go like this. This is a picture of a blind woman with a cane. This is a woman making pots, or in this case, this is a modern rendition in which the artist took some liberties. She's making Tibetan muumuus, it looks like. And the traditional understanding is this is the past. From blindness and ignorance, we did things. We do things. And when I do something, it conditions the next moment. So that then conditions this moment, which is a monkey, and it represents rebirth linking consciousness, that which goes from this moment to the next moment to the next moment. Because of that, mind and matter arise, and these are two people in a little leather boat. Because of mind and matter, the body arises, the 6 sense doors, seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, and mind. And then because there's a body, there's contact. And this is where the diagram gets a little racy. It's a couple in sexual embrace. And I always think I should take that picture and advertise retreats. It's like, come and learn, study contact, and let's sit quietly. But because the eye is in contact with objects, seeing consciousness arises. Because the ear is in contact, because the mind is in contact with sounds, and so on. And then here's where it gets really interesting and where I want to focus today. This is fixed. This is the past. Because of this arises, and this is traditionally portrayed as a man with an arrow in his eye. And it's known as feeling. And the notion is every sense contact has a feeling, pleasant, unpleasant, or indeterminate, not decided. So all day long, thoughts are arising, they're pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. Sensory contacts are happening, they're pleasant. And that's what motivates us. So, body, contact, feeling conditions craving. Right? Ooh, it's a nice picture of, or better than that, I walk into the kitchen, oh look, it's an unclaimed chocolate truffle. Imagination, wanting. Wait, I'm not eating chocolate right now, am I? Or I'm not eating sugar, or whatever it is. Oh well. Craving, grasping, I want it. And because of grasping, there's becoming. Because of becoming, there's birth. Because of birth, there's sickness, lamentation, death, and despair. And around the cycle we go. This is a person with an alcoholic beverage. This is a monkey reaching for the tree. Sort of interesting parallel with the tree in the Bible. And then this is a pregnant woman. And as a couple of women have pointed out, this is clearly a diagram done by a man, because she doesn't look very pregnant, and here she's giving birth like la 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 la. It's like, oh well, it's another birth. It's like the meaning of life, right? So it's here that there are two major points of intervention here. One is at the level of ignorance. If we have a profound, deep understanding that everything's impermanent and not worth resisting, and we then cease behaving in ways which cause harm, then we inevitably wake up. But down here, this is where the exercise happens. So there's no predicting what's going to arise here into feeling, but it's here that if we're aware, we can choose, do I act on this or do I not? And it's that whole issue of free will or intention. And what I've come to understand to be true is that, in fact, the nature of human beings is such that we have absolutely no choice over anything that we do. And we must act as though every single action is our ultimate responsibility, and we will be held responsible for every action or inaction that we do, and both are true. That'd be an interesting piece to edit the talk and put the first one up, right? It's like, well, that's a really screwed up idea. Because, look, you can do anything you want. Well, we can do anything we want, and there will be karmic response. There will be, we're creating a world. We're creating the world that we live in when we do that. So, examples. I'm sitting in meditation, to make it clean. I'm sitting in meditation, and an angry thought arises. and I chew on that a little bit, and I'm in that, and then I'm going to act in this way, I'm going to act that way. Or, wow, look, that's anger. I don't want to go there. Thank you very much, anger. I'm going to let you just come and go. Or it's a thought, feeling, emotion of sadness or hopelessness or despair or depression. There's that, and we relinquish it. So it's here that we have the capacity of altering our life in a radical way. And it's potentiated by mindfulness and concentration. So it's very hopeful. And I'm sure you've noticed that when in your meditation, if you're meditating with any frequency, you start having greater agency in your life. We start being able to affect the way we respond. We cease being reactive so much to life, but we begin to respond to it. Carl Jung put it beautifully. Can't remember his words, but the essence of it was the unexamined life leads to a fate. The examined life leads to a destiny. Because on the way we do thousands and millions of mid-course corrections. My personality would have me do this, but my personality, this impulse, this instinctive impulse, it doesn't lead to a very good place. I know that. I've learned from culture and the capacity of self-reflection have taught me that to act on the basis of greed, hatred, and ignorance leads to my suffering and the suffering of the people around me. So why would I not restrain this? And for any of you that have struggled with addictions or compulsions, which I know is all of us, when you want to stop doing something and become clear, yes, I don't want to do that anymore. And sometimes the impulse to indulge arises, and it's so clear. Nope, I'm not doing that anymore. Phew, that was easy. And then other times, I can't stop myself. I've done it again. And then usually we beat up on ourselves. But understanding in a way, the impersonal nature of this can give us a lot of mercy when we're not perfect on something that we're trying to change in ourselves. So, I want to share a poem with you. There lived in this city a while back a very beautiful man named William Stafford, a remarkably gentle man. I was at a men's conference, a lot of men, maybe 800 men here in Portland, and Robert Bly was there and William Stafford, and Bly was saying something about to William, Bill, I don't understand how you publish so many books. And Stafford, and they were good friends, Stafford said to him, well, Robert, I had to lower my expectations. You could learn something from this. And Bly said, what do you mean? And he said, well, my writing stand is between the bedroom and bathroom and the kitchen. And every morning before breakfast, I write a poem. And the way that I do that is I lower my expectations. But he writes a poem every day. And this is one of his very beautiful, many beautiful poems. If you don't know the kind of person I am, and I don't know the kind of person you are, a pattern that others made may prevail in the world. And following the wrong God home, we may miss our star. For there is many a small betrayal in the mind, a shrug that lets the fragile sequence break, sending with shouts the horrible effects of childhood storming out to play through the broken dike. Is that not a line and a half? For there are many a small betrayal in the mind. There is many a small betrayal in the mind, a shrug that lets the fragile sequence break, sending with shouts the horrible effects of childhood storming out to play through the broken dike. And as elephants parade holding each other's elephant's tail, but if one wanders, the circus won't find the park. I call it cruel, and maybe the root of all cruelty, to know what occurs, but to not recognize that fact. And so I appeal to a voice, to something shadowy, a remote, important region in all who talk. Though we could fool each other, we should consider lest the parade of our mutual life get lost in the dark. For it is important that awake people be awake, for a breaking line may discourage them back to sleep. The signals we give, yes or no or maybe, should be clear. The darkness around us is deep. Maybe it's the root of all cruelty to know what occurs but not recognize the fact. And so I appeal to a voice, to something shadowy, a remote, important region in all who talk. Though we could fool each other, we should consider lest the parade of our mutual life get lost in the dark. For it is important that awake people be awake, for a breaking line may discourage them back to sleep. The signals we give, yes or no or maybe, should be clear. The darkness around us is deep. Many of you have heard, many times, some of you, one of my most oft-quoted things, which is from a book called When Good People Do Bad Things. Highly recommended. It's not James Hillman, it's Hollis. Yeah, James Hollis. Jungian fellow of great depth. The first line is, "The I that I know does not know enough to know that it does not know enough." The I that I know does not know enough to know that it does not know enough, which is the Buddha's teaching on anatta, on not self. And then the next few pages say something like this. I take great liberties with it, but I find it very instructive, which is that the conscious ego is a fragile island floating on a vast sea of unconsciousness we call the psyche. There exist within the psyche autonomous complexes that can and do usurp the ego. The ego in this terminology is actually a complex. It's a structure that has memories and thoughts and feelings, and it repeats it. When we get up in the morning, we kind of pull that on. As Ram Dass put it, I get up in the morning, I pull on my somebody suit. And most days I pull on the same suit. But other days, you know how it is to be possessed by something, to fall in love. That's a really interesting one. It's gone. But also to fall into rage, or to fall into despair, or into abandonment feelings, or to feel an inflation of being all together and terrific. So our lives are in a way, a balancing act or a developing act as that which makes the choices, appears to make the choices, develops a relationship with that in the unconscious, in the culture, which is seeking to emerge. And I had an intuition the other day, which is the genesis of this sharing with you. Sadness comes in. There is a dangerous, pernicious, hate-filled idea that our country is being invaded by people from the South. There is an invasion happening of dangerous magnitude, but it's not people from the South. It's hatred from the unconscious. It's xenophobia, which is natural to us as humans. It's a capacity that we all have, which is it's held at bay by wisdom and by not feeding it. But unfortunately, there's a person who's feeding it from the top and stirring up this stuff that's in all of us. Hence the increasing, it's one of the pieces of the increasing polarization. So I want to come to this diagram for a second. Come on, heal, heal, heal. We all have everything in us. We have the zealot, we have hatred, we have fear, we have racist bias. And so it's all here in us. And the provocation can come in, and that can emerge. And it emerges into feeling, pleasant, unpleasant, indeterminate. And then the impulse arises to act on it. To act on it in thought, to grind in some thought more deeply, to act on it in speech, or to act on it in action. If we don't have highly developed mindfulness, we're so prone to act out on what arises. Let's say, for instance, in comes the torpedo. Someone says or does something that we judge as wrong, bad, etc. It can, as it emerges here, there can be this sense of that's wrong, that's bad, and I am better than that. I am superior. And therefore, we've become the same problem. A long time ago, Ronald Reagan was president. I think it was Reagan. It's hard to remember. I was involved for a little while in anti-nuclear demonstrations downtown. And I realized how difficult it was to present this idea, because it really was not well received at the time. And that was that it's not going to help us if we indulge in hatred of this person, because then we're the same problem. So I proposed that we do a little guided meditation, I think it was Reagan, that we do a guided meditation and reflect upon how he was injured as a little kid, and then to develop some compassion for him. And this was not well received. There are contexts in which it could be received now. We've come, oh, dear, yikes. So, this teaching provides us with a way to deal with the various upsets that are happening. Here, I'm remembering a piece I wanted to bring in. Since we all had childhoods, this line about what is it here? A shrug that lets the fragile sequence break, sending with shouts the horrible effects of childhood. We all had things happen in our childhood which have left us very vulnerable to becoming quite reactive to things. Right? If the provocation is such, and it reminds us of our father who beat us, or our mother who was schizophrenic, or our teacher who did this, or the way I was, then one of these complexes gets lit up, and then it takes over the ego, and then there isn't wisdom. There isn't the capacity to choose. I think I'm not going to rehearse this thought Or there's so much fear that we become unable to really act skillfully and with all our power. So one of our most central tools in becoming happier, but also in taking our place in whatever actions, external actions we want to take, it's rooted in our Dharma practice. And another way that it's rooted funny, I'm keep being interrupted by this, so I'm going to say it instead. I made a decision after last Sunday in which I spoke a bit about this catastrophe with the children at the southern border. It's not just there, though. The fellow who helped load the tables for the party at my home last night, fundraising party, Marcelo. I spoke with him and did this thing that I've decided that I'm going to do. When I'm with someone who obviously speaks Spanish and is of that origin, I've started speaking to them about what's happening and saying that I am so deeply moved by this thing that's happening. And he was in a professional position, but after a few minutes he started talking. And he said, well, I agree with you, but then he started sharing. His 17-year-old son was picked off at the border last week. He's in detention. Detention, it sucks. Sounds like detention in high school, right? So anyway, I'm finding that very helpful and empowering. I've only done it 3 or 4 times, and I'll be careful with it, but I have found the response to be very, very touching and connecting, that to reassure some people that some of us gray-haired old guys are actually very sympathetic with the circumstances. This diagram is a diagram of freedom and liberation. It's of not suffering anymore at the utter impermanence and really the horrors of the world. And that's one of the reasons I continue to do my own practice, to find on a regular basis that place within myself where there isn't a problem, where we really are all completely connected, and even the most heinous acts are just what human beings on this planet do. I know this can sound crazy, but to be able to relax. I'm meeting lots of people who are anxious all the time, and their childhood trauma is being set off, and so they're always anxious, and they're not being so effective in their lives, and they're very upset. And I'm an advocate for use that to activate us, but also let's really remember that fundamentally it's all okay, and that we can assume the position of the bodhisattva, which is a being who says, beings are numberless, I vow to save them. Suffering is endless, I vow to encounter it. And I do this for the benefit of all beings. That's our effect in the web of Indra and the web of life. That's us affecting the very structure of it by remembering who we really are. That's the polarity of our utter interconnection. We had a conversation here last week, and those of you that weren't here, I invite you to go and look at it on YouTube, in which we spoke about perhaps the need to be, one way to deal with powerlessness is to become engaged. And there are some movements afoot already within the community of one of our members of the community who's Hispanic, is connected in with organizations. She's already been working with young people who've been separated from their families for several years. And she's checking with the organizations with which she works of how we, any of us that wish to, might be useful. And there's several other things that are emerging. Patricia, who stood up and spoke, saying she was just doing this activism training, and she needs to connect with you, for sure. She's going to be inviting members of the community who want to take up some kind of action, but the action must, as I believe, be rooted in love. That it can't be, if it's rooted in hatred, it's the same old problem. If it's rooted in enemy images, it's the same old problem. And I think this diagram of freedom, this model of how to work with the human mind is intrinsic to that. It is essential for that. Because then anything that arises in us becomes grist for the mill of our own awakening. Oh, here I am. One of the most slippery ones is this doubt, despair, dispiritedness, hopelessness. It's like, oh, there's nothing to be done. It's too big. And what a different thing to have that experience and then to realize, oh, that's what's arising out of the unconscious. Is that me? Or is that a state? If it's a state and not who I am, I don't have to feed it. I could feed love instead. I could feed profound activity. I want to share another poem. Time. This is from a Sufi teacher, Pir Vilayat Inayat Khan, Western Sufi. No, Pir Vilayat actually, it doesn't matter. Have to be careful with your footnotes, you might get graded down. In the Sufi tradition, there's a saying, overcome any bitterness that may have come because you were not up to the magnitude of the pain that was entrusted to you. How do you like that? I will. In the Sufi tradition, there is a saying, overcome any bitterness that may come because you were not up to the magnitude of the pain that was entrusted to you. Like the mother of the world who carries the pain of the world in her heart, each of us is part of her heart and therefore endowed with a certain measure of cosmic pain. You are called upon to meet it in compassion and equanimity instead of self-pity and despair. The secret? Offer your heart as a vehicle to transform cosmic suffering into love. In the Sufi tradition, there's a saying, overcome any bitterness that may have come because you were not up to the I would say not yet, up to the magnitude of the pain that was entrusted to you. Like the mother of the world who carries the pain of the world in her heart, each of us is a part of her heart and therefore is endowed with a certain measure of cosmic pain. You are called upon to meet it in compassion and equanimity instead of self-pity and despair. The secret? Offer your heart as a vehicle to transform cosmic suffering into love. Which of course starts right on our cushion, right? As soon as we stop distracting, we discover the suffering in our life. Learning to meet that with open-heartedness, with compassion, and to get over the self-pity. The self-pity is such a distraction. To get over the self-pity and to not that I'm going to get rid of myself, but to realize that the self-pity is another form of suffering. There's already the suffering, and then there's, I shouldn't be having this, and why is this? And it's more. It's like crocheting another way to suffer. So turning toward it and opening the heart and compassion, wow, this is the human condition. I mean, that's one of the edges of my practice is realizing just how stunningly difficult it is to be a human being. I thought I knew, And then some things have come along that have kind of blown me open, but in having more capacity to stay present, seeing the suffering of the world and the ubiquitous nature of it. It's, I mean, you take on a human birth and with that, the capacity, there's so much love possible. But it does take, in myself, getting over the sense that it shouldn't be like this. It shouldn't be. It is like this. Every single where on the planet. Funny, the images. Here's an image that just came to mind. Years ago, watching a nature program, there was a video of thousands of hippopotami in a small pool. And the pool was drying up. And I was so moved by it. I was like, whoa, why doesn't someone get water to these hippopotami? That's happening everywhere, right? At the same time as this is happening everywhere. And love is happening everywhere. So I want to open up for any comment or question, but before I do that, I want to say this. Yahoo! Wait. Hang on. We're going to build a ramp. Last night at the gathering at my home, we raised another almost $3,000. And we're going to pause now and postpone any further fundraising for tying the building down. And now focus on, of course it's going to be easy. From now on it'll be easy. There's no more hassle. The building project is going to happen. So I want to thank each of you that contributed to the success of this project. It's a real big deal for us to have raised that much money and to have a new door coming in. It's going to be so interesting. And I want to thank you, Laura, with your lovely presence and helping to teach me, and everybody that's assisted me in my role. And I don't think I shared this. No, doesn't matter. One of the things, in terms of asking for money, it became clear to me partway through the process that the reticence to ask was completely narcissistic and self-centered. Because it's, what if someone's offended, or what if they don't like me? That's the part that's about me. The more wise part is, this voice is the voice of those who need to get into the building and whose lives will be transformed. Duh. So stay tuned, and we're gonna have a very interesting process. And by fall, I'm sure before I'm sure I've done construction projects before. It's a little scary, right? But soon we're going to have a accessible building, which is thanks to you. So yay. So, I invite anyone who would like to share about this crucially important capacity to perceive that which is emerging out of the unconscious. Because there is an invasion afoot. Maybe this wasn't wise, but I took a liberty. I delved into the news this morning for a little while, and there was there were a collection of letters, texts, and tweets, I guess, and audio from reporters of the threats that they've been receiving. And I listened to about 10 of them. And it was really quite interesting. They were kind of like robots saying heinous, awful things. And I could hear, that person is in a trance. They've been possessed by this trance. And I sure don't want to do that myself, for or against. I want to learn how to keep this heart open. So, any question, sharing, comment? Come get it, Willie. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I just want to get clarification from you. You got your pointer here? That when we come to this point on this dependent origination, codependent origination, here is that point where mindfulness of what's happening allows us to make that choice.
Even before, at
Even
feeling.
before.
Yeah.
Where? Right
Feeling,
here?
yeah, right there.
Right there. So that's why we meditate, so that we can see that momentary difference right here between the two actions.
Right.
Okay.
That's one of the reasons one meditates. But that's
yeah.
in terms of insight into karma. This is where the law of karma occurs. The infinite history of the universe, the world, my nation, this body, is happening here. And it presents this moment. And this moment has a feeling tone. If I'm unconscious of this, it goes around and I'm basically in the animal realm, I'm robotic. With consciousness, with awareness, with mindfulness, there's noticing this is arising. Oh, here's this. It's a very unpleasant feeling, and this is the impulse to act. And let me further say something here. Sometimes, or often, we get around to here and we've acted. It's like, damn, I wasn't going to do that again. What to do then? Beat yourself up. No, not necessarily. Much more skillful would be, oh, wow, look at that. The unconscious impulses were sufficiently strong that I've done it again. How interesting. Because that then, gradually we work our way back to catching it at the start. Okay?
And then there's those actions like an auto accident, an earthquake. Somebody comes up to you, like one of your spouse or something, and just says, I'm upset and I need to talk. And that sort of throws everything out. I mean, all this dependent origination stuff is going on, but those actions as well are hitting from the side.
This includes all that. This is the whole the history of the universe comes along, and at this moment, this is what happens. It's an encounter with your spouse, or you're in a car accident. How shall I respond?
Okay. I think I get it. Okay.
It's in the magical display of consciousness, this moment, this is all we ever have, and in this moment it's a moment of great, like right now, this is a moment of a lot of ease, beauty, comfort. Here, we're safe. The next moment could be really different, right? The big earthquake could come now, or driving home could become a major catastrophe, or who knows, our phone could ring. And then in that moment, how shall I respond? That's actually a crucial piece of the law of karma that is worth mentioning, which is the law of karma is totally misunderstood in the West. We think of it as, oh, you have cancer, well, that's your karma. It's actually the wrong word. The resultants from the past, from our former actions, are called vipaka, V-I-P-A-K-K-A, I think, vipaka. This is the context in which I find myself. And there's no way to figure out what causes what. Everything's so complex. But then, how shall I respond? That's where the law of karma is useful. Because I'd like to plant seeds that are going to make me happier tomorrow and this afternoon and next week. And if there are future lives, who knows, then I'd like to lay my bet on that too. I'd like to be born well. But there's a lot of blame. People do a lot of self-blaming and other blaming around the law of karma. It's like, well, you got that because you deserve it. It's like a punishment model. Not time, I think. Do you hear the kids? Is it quick, Barney? No? Okay. Let's make a big circle and welcome the kids. Thank you so much for coming today and for listening carefully, and may we all wake up. Hi, Penelope. Hi.
Who are we seeing today?
What did you do to your nose? Did you fall down? Yeah. Does it hurt? Yeah. So, please find a hand on your left and right. Can I hold your hand? Hey, thank you. Nice. Here we are in our apparent separate bodies. Let us wish ourselves well. And give the hand on your right a little squeeze. Recognizing the preciousness and fleetingness of life. What would you wish for this person? And the person on your left, give that hand a little squeeze. Making your beautiful wish for them. And let's extend this to all beings, to all human beings and all of our brothers and sisters of the air, the earth, and the waters. No matter how we are or who we are, those of us that take birth have this experience of coming and going. Let's include in our hearts those who are suffering from the effects of ignorance, hatred, and oppression. And those who, in their ignorance, are acting in the roles of oppressor. May all beings be touched by love so they wake up. So we wake up. All righty. Do we have Penelope? Test one.
Okay.
Test one. Here we go. Okay. You want to share the microphone? Good.
So like this. May all beings be happy. May all beings be happy. May all beings be happy. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Yay. So, now it's time for us all to do the meditation of things ending. This candle's flame will end momentarily. Let's do it with a wish. So take a deep breath, everybody. You ready to blow? You ready to blow? 1, 2, 3. Blow, blow, blow. Oh, darn. Well, we did it. Thank you, dear friends on the internet and all of you that are here today. I will be absent for the next 2 Sundays. I'm teaching a retreat in Canada. There still remains a $400 scholarship for someone, $400 Canadian, who would like to attend. So if that would facilitate your coming, please contact me.
Don't
Thank you. Thank you. All right.
go. Wait, next Sunday?
I'll be gone next Sunday.
No! Tell me not. I will.